Hello YouTube, my name is Amisbro. For this video we are going to be doing an anime review, and we are going to be covering the anime PrinStride alternative, otherwise referred to as PrinStride or PrinStride, as I have covered in the episode previews. I'm going to tell you this now. We are either going to be referring to this as PrinStride alternative or just PrinStride. This is based off of the Otome game of the same name, but in this case, it's called alternative for a reason. The reason is because while the PrinStride game revolves around the Otome aspect, this revolves more around the sports aspect. First off, let's explain what is stride. The best way to explain what stride is to think of a relay race, but you involve the following. You involve obstacles, or as they call them, gimmicks, and you involve free running, or free running / parkour. That's what it is. A stride team consists of 5 runners and 1 relationer. So you have a 6-person team that actually competes. You can have extra members in the club, but you only need the 6 people, the 5 runners and the 1 relationer, to actually have a competitive team for the match. Okay, now that we know that, let's try to talk about the story. So, the story involves 3 individuals. Okay? Takeru Fujiwara, Nana Sakurai, and Riku Yagami. Now there's more members to the Stride Club for Honan, but these are 3 that we're going to be focusing on because they actually turn out to be, as we find out, the people that, when they were younger, promised to go to the same high school, and that would be Honan. Well, here's the thing about that school. A little something happened where the club is on life support. There's people that stayed to try and keep it around long enough so that if they got new members they could still run races, but there was a lot of other things that happened that really threatened it. And because of one big event, which you find out, one of the members A got exiled, and B, another person later on, we find out, isn't exactly the biggest fan of this person. So we know this, and over the course of, say, the first episode or so, they do eventually get a 6-member team. But they do, it's known they want one specific person. Well, most of them want one specific person. One's a little skittish because of the incident which is referenced in the show. Here's the thing. One of the people who was in the original club transferred to another school. That character is actually very important. And that person was not involved, but was a witness to what we found out to be the KGB incident. This person's also very important because they are actually related to one of the 3 people that we talked about already. I won't mention which one, but one of the 3. We also find out that for one of the high schools, the father of one of these kids is the coach. Yeah. So you already see that there's going to be some family ties involved in there. Now I'm not going to spoil that for you, but I'm going to let you find that out on your own. Well, as we find out, there's different stride clubs with different styles, and they also had very different personalities. One of these schools is called Sasei. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Saissei, home of a 6-member stride team, which also doubles as an idol group called Galaxy Standard. A very popular idol group, nonetheless. Well, I'm going to say this now so I can get this the hell out of the way. This group is arguably the group that I could not stand the most to save my life. Now, they do play a part in Honan's story, a very big part actually, because it's found out that they become the first practice match that the Honan school gets, and then some other events occur. One, which really actually makes, if you really think about it, in some respects, the rematch between the two make no real damn sense in an odd way. Okay? Now, I'm not going to name all the members of Galaxy Standard, but there were a couple that I actually liked. Actually, I may try it. One's named Kade. He wears a black headband, and his hair is colored green. One is named Azuma. He's actually really Asuma. He's actually really cool. I think I was a little too hard on him because he's associated with Galaxy Standard and, you know, Sasei as a whole. That's just me. I really couldn't deal with them for the most part. And there was Bento. He was alright. I had no issue with him. The ones I know I had an issue with were I have to try and remember their names again, so give me a second. Well, I know one is named Reiji Suwa, and the other one was named Tatsuko Sono. Tatsuko Sono, if you look at him and if you took his and you took the lead character of Persona 4's character image, you literally have the same goddamn character because of the way their hair is done. One's literally just gray and the other one is orange, and he's the rival of Heath. Here's the thing. I have the hardest time embracing Galaxy Standard, or as they're called, Galstan in some cases. They're one of the few this is one of the few times when, look, there were schools in Kuroko's basketball that I officially can say fall under the absence makes the heart grow fonder, because there's Rakuzan, Shutoku, and Kaijo. Well, I actually always like Kaijo. Rakuzan I actually kind of feared I was going to like, because I figured the way they carried themselves a different way off the court. And Shutoku I really grew to like. Here, I don't think we're ever going to have that issue, because there's something about, you know that expression, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch? That happened here. Galaxy Standard can be a bunch of saints. The people in Galaxy Standard can be a bunch of saints. But if you have two characters who I find obnoxious, rude, and and stuck up in any way, shape, or form, it's hard for me to really embrace the entire crew. And here's... No, I won't give that. That's a spoiler. Not going to give that. Because there's a really messed up thing that happens with the story. Because, I'll give you this part of the story. They had their first practice match against the school. They being Honan. And Honan loses. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, so the story goes from now until the end, they need to try to go and beat them in the final match. Close. We find out later that there's another school that's involved that's a pretty big deal, and they become the final opponent. But and that one has some really heavy emotions welled up into it. The story does take a very interesting turn because, with the exception of the first episode, up to like episode 7, we'll say, the entire series is a very lighthearted, slice of life sports anime. For the most part. There are some issues that have to be overcome and so forth, but for the most part, it's a very lighthearted, fun story. Then you get to about episode 8 to the end of the series, and then it becomes a really dark story at times. Because you got characters dealing with personal issues, family issues, and all that good stuff. I'm being sarcastic about all that good stuff. And when you see this happening, you sit there and you go, oi! Because you want these guys to be able to go through their time, their day, their life as high school students. As high school stride students, they're just trying to make the best school possible. And that in and of itself would make for a very compelling story. Sometimes I think when they put in this extra drama, it sometimes takes away. I kind of had that probably, if you remember, with Eternal Summer, the second free season. I think if they kept it as a sports anime and they just focused on sport of swimming, in that case, it would have really made a very competitive, adrenaline-filled story. But sometimes when you add all the personal stuff, and yes, I know that this stuff happens with high school students, but still it's like, what do you want to do? So this happens. So when that happens, the story, it's not hard to embrace the characters, because once you understand their struggles, you go, okay, I can relate to this character. I can embrace him a lot easier. To be perfectly honest, Honan was the relatable school of all of them. Because here's the other thing that killed me. What do we know about Galaxy Standard other than they're stride runners, but they also are idols? Not a goddamn thing about any of them, really. That's the sad part. What do we know about any other school other than the members of Honan? Nothing. Which was sad. You gave me 12 episodes. I really didn't learn much about any other character in the show. It was like, it's like you wanted to make sure that you told us that for the anime, Honan was the school that mattered. So you didn't give me a reason to give a fuck about any other member of any other school, so I couldn't root for them. Do you see what I'm saying? This is why, when we look at the idea of it being a sports anime, does it fail a little bit? Yeah, because you do like to have that reason to really root for another school outside of the main school. I didn't have that. I had my reason for disliking a school, but I didn't have my reason for not liking, for, you know, not for liking, excuse me, for liking any of the other schools. And that's a problem with the story a little bit. Even when they gave me a reason that could have been something to like the one school for, I couldn't embrace them because I knew the personalities of at least two of the characters. So I couldn't really embrace the school like most people would. But you also see, that's me as a sports fan in some cases versus being an anime watcher sometimes and reviewer. Now then, now that we know that part, and I've discussed the story pretty much in depth, can we talk about the other stuff? Character development. Well, we did get to see a lot of character growth for Honan, but we didn't get to see much, like I mentioned already, for any of the other schools. We've seen them when they got upset because they lost, but we didn't see anything in the way of, why do I need to care about this character? Why do I need to care about this school? Why do I need to care about whoever? It doesn't work. Unless you were specifically making sure that we knew those were minor schools and the two schools we had to give a damn about were the other ones. Which is fine. Whatever. Do what you need to. The animation was really good. However, Madhouse, the group that did it, the animation, top notch. It made me happy to see that somebody was actually going to take, you know, good care of drawing these characters, not making them look in a way that would be over-sexualized, because male or female, that's something that happens way too goddamn much. And it needs to stop, especially when it comes to stuff like this. I have a rule now, I won't review most 17 animes. There are certain exceptions to the rule, but I won't. There's an ecchi anime there was one anime I was going to review, but I found out it was an R17 and on the ecchi, and I said, no, we're good. But they didn't over-sexualize any of the characters, which I thought was awesome. And they just they did a lot of really, really good things with it. Let's, as far as the animation goes. The story and the character development were a bit of a but I will tell you that I was rooting very, very hard for the Honan school. But that's mainly because that's the only school they gave me a backstory for any of the characters to really care about. And unfortunately, they made Reiji one of the most despicable characters in the anime. Because to me, he just was a character that I could not embrace. Reiji Suwa. Like I said, a lot of the other characters in Galaxy Standard, or as I say, I liked them. I wanted to hang out with those people. But because of two bad apples, it spoiled the bunch for me. And that's kind of depressing. So, with this being said, and I've pretty much done a fairly in-depth review on this, I think, almost 20 minutes, where do we look at PrinStride? or PrinStride. I recommend it, but I recommend it with a caveat. If you're like me and you watch the anime and you didn't think that certain characters got developed the way they should have, like maybe Galaxy Standard, please go pick up the actual Otome game, which I'm going to in the future, and see what their stories are. So maybe in the future, when I go and review the actual damn game, I can say, well, here's what the anime did, and here's why it kind of screwed up the characterization. Because maybe I'm judging Galaxy Standard unfairly. I'll admit that. But I haven't played the game yet. So when I play the game, maybe, like I said, I'll be able to go back and tell you, well, this character is actually really cool, this one's really cool, and this one's really cool. Because like I said, for the most part, I enjoyed Sase, but there was just some things I could not deal with. And I'm repeating that just so you understand, it's not the entire school I hated, it's really two people that spoiled the whole bunch for me, unfortunately. So, that is the review. Again, I say, if you're going to watch this anime, please make sure that you've either played the games first, or if you're watching the anime first, watch this, then go get the game afterwards. You all take care. I will see you in the next review, which may be a Friday, or maybe next week, and I don't know what it's going to be yet. Take care.